seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. 2.1,
Open food service.
open food service.
Alrighty, we have OPA Food Service Company here tonight. They'd like to demonstrate some of their food and whatever. As long as we're still a little bit limited on the crowd, we've got the video thing going on over there. So what I would recommend, if the board members could go out in groups of no more than 3 at a time out there to keep a quorum from happening. Individually, you could ask questions then of the cooks and things out there would be fine, but then we could come back in here and perhaps reiterate some of what you've learned if you did pick up some information from the team, the OPA team. And once we have everybody with food sitting around this table, we have everybody back in here, then Jack Kane will start up a presentation, talk a little bit about OPA food management, and we'll go from there. I do thank everybody for being here, and I'm assuming Jeff will probably be here in a little bit. So, okay. So I don't know if a little bit like running a potluck dinner. How about these 2 tables go first? As a board member comes in, another board member go back out. It'd be great.
Oh, my table. And don't be bashful. Even if you don't eat everything, if you want to sample something, sample it all.
To go bags?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, why not?
Hello. Good, how are you? Yeah, I thought they were just closed.
It's all, I can say whatever, you can say whatever. Oh, right, I filter everything. I'm not letting anyone touch pens.
Okay, that's fine.
They won't let us in this cave.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah, because of
This might be an issue because the students out there.
Hers is almost worse than mine.
I think we went through this last time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Will you have other personnel that you ladies?
So I'll probably, we'll drag them all in and probably introduce them.
Okay. That'll work.
And we'll go from there. But they won't stay, and it'll be really too much of a presentation. So,
Okay.
but we want to introduce them and see this, because they're all your neighbors.
Yeah, so you want to put your face with the name and the school. Okay, great, great.
Of course.
So Chris, what's your very last day?
The 25th.
Vacation on Friday.
Tuesday.
The 29th.
That's the thing.
Thursday.
No. How much time?
It's not. I know I have everything.
And we
Go ahead, Jim.
I don't think there's gonna be enough for you, Bobby. We'll just sneak in with one of these groups.
That's what I was gonna say, it's nice that.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Friendly
That's
and
good.
let her reach out.
I jumped out and got like their federal recruiting and it's just like, talking about it, and I got all that done really quickly. I'm like, there's other stuff that you can.
Lots of stuff you don't think about.
Yeah, Friday's I'm meeting with them down there.
No.
Where to get that transition going.
Yeah, trying to teach and learn at the same time.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
The assistant leading down there created a big hole.
What he's there for.
Have a really
what
good
we're doing.
person hired. Really good. Send him all these questions. I have a number.
And you just
You're in
never
section.
know. Some
But I gotta
things
point
that
it,
you-
I gotta point it
someone
to the
should
finger.
be able to find out what to
I'm not
do.
worried about it.
I know you're not.
Or figure out when you're in. Sometimes it just depends on how that person thinks.
It's,
I'm gonna go back and watch it later.
I'm gonna, I am. The camera's still running.
I know.
He's over there being a middle school self. You can go on out if Jeff's not here yet.
I don't wanna be out there if Jeff walks in.
Okay. My computer's shutting down. I can't do anything.
Morning bass and cheer practice today down there. They were a week later than us. I'm sure I'll hear more on how slow they are.
Yeah, I think Chapman started this week too.
Yeah, cause it was the bass 3 today originally, so I think a lot of people plan on starting.
Yeah, they just went ahead and stuck with that.
What did the governor get worked up about today? What's she talking about? I heard that. I heard right insurance is
They went under. Right when they lost. They couldn't make money in the state because the state supplemented their program.
Someone's sick.
Mine or one of them looked like they eat very much, so I don't know. Maybe.
KASBC emailed today trying to do damage control about staff.
I forget who I talked to at that school board training that you had set up for me when I first started, and they really liked it, that was a good program, so. I just can't remember what school it was. It might have been Kelsey, right?
And their SIR is,
Okay.
their SIR is scary, and they can.
That's crazy.
You gotta go get some food.
I will. Hey, just a word, the mic is on.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I got the camera pointed towards the little screen up there, but
Gotcha.
the mic's still live. I'll wait for that side to go. Joanne,
Did you try to bet you?
once Joanne goes, I'm clear.
I'm waiting on our board members.
So that's why I'm waiting for Joanne.
Well, she's in charge.
Oh, yeah.
I found
All right, no argument there.
I don't know.
That's,
Now, are we supposed to pass the plates every so often? Do they have anything? I suppose. Are they scared of that COVID?
Now, do you know?
should do.
All the teachers,
Anywhere you want.
like, are they all big enough to do this?
There's so much food in there though, you should, if like you wanna grab an open to go to eat later or take home and eat, do it. They don't wanna take it back, let's put it that way.
My brother lives in Japan, and he's very tall and very thin, but he can eat a lot, especially like sushi and
Got a hollow leg.
uncooked fish, he loves that stuff. And he goes to those buffet things where you push the button and the food comes out a minute later and.
Joanne, you wanna get something to eat?
Yeah, I was waiting on Veronica. Okay, Mike, keep going.
All right, thank you.
Just sample.
Just sample.
This is like truly just really cooking.
That's great.
I never thought to cut my kiwi like that. Pretty easier.
There's a setting in this new filter that says block all web pages that have a login screen.
Did have a what
A
screen?
login screen. I'm like,
That would not work.
I'm not like block.
the numbers in the store.
Maybe 65. Larry Brown. I see him all the time, but I didn't know him. Yeah, he's been there for years.
I got watermelon's really good. How are you?
I'm okay. Not dead. That's good. Survived. How about you?
Yeah, I would say.
Crazy end of year?
Kind of into that,
Yeah.
like just getting stuff done mode, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure.
My graduate classes started up today,
Oh, yeah?
so.
Is that online too then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It adds to it.
Is tax season never ends, Randy? Or is the tax season that never ends?
I could, I'm not staying down there all night like I was, but I could.
What's the same
Still
one?
there.
You tried this one, right?
You'll want to eat the whole night.
Okay. Might be really good. But you're right, it's, the cheese is totally sticking to everything.
So are all of our kitchens and all of our buildings big enough to do this kind of food in?
Yeah, so facilities do make a difference, you know, on how many options you can do. And so, the elementary, that's pretty small, the oldest one.
Kennedy?
Yes, yeah.
The K1 building?
Yeah. So that's the one that's a little tight, obviously, but absolutely, yep.
Is there, but they're set up, ready to go, or there would have to be new equipment coming in?
Equipment-wise, you're in pretty really good shape. So yeah, you got enough steam wells and things like that. And I'll probably talk about it when I do this. So when I was at Iola, I was superintendent at Iola. So we were subsidizing a lot, $255,000 a year to food service, and so we were trying to buy as much food as we could and freeze it, right? So I had 5 walk-in freezers. So when we went to OPA, you need more refrigeration than you do freezer space because the truck comes every week and it's fresh and it's, you know. So I gave one of the walk-in freezers to the food pantry in town. So to that, but so when we go to look at the school, that's one of the things we look at too, is how much refrigeration do they have, you know, because that's almost more important than the frozen stuff, because we're trying to get away from
Semi-frozen refrigeration are the same size, I think.
the heat and eat a little bit, so we're trying to get away from that and again, more freshly prepared stuff as much as we can. So, and of course, it's going to be interesting how the COVID thing affects stuff, but because one of the staples for a company is the fresh fruit and vegetable bar, you know, that it has cut fruit on it, you know. So I don't know, we'll have to see how they allow us to do that, whether we have to serve it from behind, you know, kind of like Bola Corral's doing now, or whether we modify something, whether it's a sneeze guard, a mask, a glove, I don't know. I mean, so, and we've got a task force that's looking at all that stuff right now that's been going about 2-3 weeks already. So when schools are ready, we'll have multiple options ready to say, okay, you could do this, or this. What do you want to do? Or,
You guys probably weren't, the COVID stuff probably didn't hurt your company too bad, did it? Because schools that were using you still were providing meals.
we had, and I think most school districts would say the same thing. We kind of probably surprised ourselves of how adaptive and how flexible and how we could turn this from doing this to turning it to doing that, and doing a lot of that, you know. So in the end, we might be very thankful of what we learned from being able to do that.
I mean, I would say, I still just can't believe if we could serve this kind of food daily to the kids, what that might do for some of these kids.
Well, yeah,
And you're right, I
Started
haven't
theirs.
finished other stuff.
Chicken sandwich.
So I really just wanted to take them out, but now I'm eating the whole thing.
Yeah.
backhoe. He'd take, had an orange spray painted line, and he'd take that, he'd cut it, and he'd go right down,
That's the thing, like,
that wall would be straight.
Good.
our kids, they just eat all prepackaged.
Tastes good?
Yeah, very good.
It's amazing.
Yeah, very good.
There were clumps on the
Well, it's
outside.
legal.
and he just-
I mean, it's the requirements. We didn't put extra salt in it, or we
Yeah,
didn't.
right,
So
yeah.
that's compliant. That's the word I'm
Yeah,
looking for.
yeah,
That
right.
is really too though, because the flavors are there,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, just the vegetables didn't just taste like, they weren't.
Right, yeah, they're not
they
just
were
frozen.
hard. They had good flavor to them.
I mean, truthfully, it's like something I would cook at home, you know? A lot of our kiddos just eat prepackaged stuff all the time.
I would say maybe my only concern, and it's not the food, it's we've done it to eat kids do that sort of thing. Some of our kids do this. Are they going to eat this? Are they going to, or are they just going to throw it away? Which,
Yeah, that's a really good point.
or is are the flavors good enough and the variety different enough that they may eat it and enjoy it?
Well, I think there are a lot of kiddos who would be adventurous enough to try something like this, you know? Like I'm thinking, Kinley, for example, she would probably grab one of those plastic boxes.
Oh, sure.
But she'd be in heaven, you know, like the pizza box or the nacho box, or
Right.
she would love that every day. And then she would eat fruit and vegetables and.
But
Hey,
Oh my gosh.
and the pumpkin muffin.
yeah. Will you just get rid of that for us?
Does she ask that you're eating green? Is that what?
Yeah, that's what.
You cannot come any closer.
He's like, what?
That head's gonna be in the way.
Mine? For what? The camera?
No, he's got it.
We're now gonna point it
Jack,
at
I'm gonna let you go ahead and get started, I think.
Okay, all right, awesome. I hope, and you can take a muffin, drag it home with you, put it, put it in your pocket, whatever, some fun in there. So, first of all, everything that you're eating here is compliant. So, Healthy Hungry Free Kids Act, there's an extra salt in it, there's whatever, I mean, it's what kids would eat, so. First of all, I want to introduce everybody that had a hand in this, so come on in. Byron, I'm going to turn it over to you and let
Sure.
you talk about it.
My name is Byron Walford. I'm the Regional Director of Operations for this area. So if you guys decided to come with OPA, you would see my big head running around here trying to take care of your students and your staff. But I just wanted to introduce some people for you. These are some folks that are going to be your neighbors. They're schools, existing schools that we have right now. And what that means is if there's issues or heaven forbid something happens with some of your staff, we have resources to pull from to help us get through some rough times. So Kim, will you start?
Yeah, I'm Kim Gregory from Play Center. I'm also a lead trainer, and I've been with OPA for 5 years.
I'm Jennifer Tiller, and I'm at the Chapman Schools, and I've been working with OPA for almost 7.
I'm Lisa Harris, I'm with Solomon, and I've been with OPA for 3 years.
I'm Neil Broderick, I'm the area director, so I travel all over Nebraska and Kansas, east and west, all across the state. I started out as a director with Andover 7 years ago, and then just been traveling around. Kayla Neiman, it's a new regional director for Nebraska. This is her first day, so brought her down from Nebraska to show her how we do things.
I've had the full experience, so it's been good.
So at the end of the day, we appreciate you guys letting us come in and kind of show you what we do. We are very enthusiastic about possibly partnering with you. And that, at the end of the day, that's what it is. It is a partnership with you guys. And we look forward to the opportunity to earn your business. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, and my name is Jack Kane, and I grew up in Galva, Kansas, and went to Canton Galva High School, and ended up in education 35 years. 29 of them were right back at Canton Galva. Now I became superintendent, and I was retired as a superintendent at Iola. I know, I look too young to be retired superintendent, but I do that all the time. So at Iola, is where I ran into OPA. We were subsidizing about $255,000 a year for food service. We weren't very efficient. OPA came in the first year. We saved, or we made $61,000, so about a $300,000 turnaround for us, which was huge. So that's where I became acquainted with OPA, and it was, I can tell you, I did it the first year I was superintendent. It was the best thing I ever did. But and that's, now that I'm retired, that's why I work for them. It's a company that I believe in. So this is Kay. Divalbiz. And tell us about how you got into open, your background a little bit. So.
Okay, I was a food service director at a school district in Missouri, and I had been the food service director for 20 years. When OPA came in, I spent, I think, 6 months after that being a director at that district for OPA, and then transitioned into a regional director at that time. So this is my 34th year in school food service. I've been with OPA coming up on my 15th year. So
she knows all the ins and outs of the operation part of it. So a bit about OPA. They're family owned. They've been around for 42 years. Their home office is in Chesterfield, and that's where they started, obviously. Specialize in home style cooking and baking. You know, we like to make things from scratch. Sometimes all the kids don't like things from scratch, so we have a mixture of what we call kid-friendly stuff too. But we are the premier food service company in the Midwest. We have 135 schools in Missouri. We are now 60 school districts in Kansas. So when I was at Iola, that was in 2013, 14, we were number 16 school in Kansas. So we're not an unknown quantity anymore. As I said, there are 60 of us around here, and you are surrounded by other school districts that have OPA. We are expanding. We've got 48 in Oklahoma, expanding in Nebraska, Arkansas, and Iowa and Illinois. So overall, we've got about 300 school districts altogether. And you can see kind of on the map where everything's kind of located. And not every dot's out there, but kind of get an idea of where that's at. So here's kind of not all 60, but the ones pretty close to you. So again, what Byron said is really important too. So the support that we have in the state is, you won't talk to another food service management company that can provide the type of support that we can. We have 5 regional directors in the state. Each regional director has about 13, 14, 15 school districts that they look after. And we have Western Kansas, Southeast Kansas, we're covered. So, and why that's important is because Byron kind of alluded to this. I know we've gone through this COVID stuff, I get that. Even normal flu season, if you've got 3 folks down with the flu, nobody has enough subs, ever. We can pull people in from surrounding districts to make sure your program gets done the way it should be. So those are important things. Don't think of it right now, but that's kind of how it works. So why would you consider a food service management company? So the first reason, I would say, at least it was in my case at Iola, is purchasing power. We can buy food cheaper than you can. We've got 300 school districts that we're buying food for. Not everybody gets the same thing every day. We don't have the same menus. Local directors get to choose whatever they want, but they're all working from the same recipes. There's only one meal I think that everybody has on Wednesday, and that's chicken patty. It's Chicken Patty Wednesday all over Oakland. And
that's mystery meat.
It is our, okay, so it's not a mystery to us, because what we do is we sell, I don't know, millions of chicken patties. We go directly to Tyson and we say, we want this chicken patty. It is to these specs, this stuff, and it is our most popular meal in Abilene. So kids love it. So so that purchasing power, though, gives us an advantage of being able to provide you with the quality food that you have at a cost that can probably cheaper than what you can run it yourself. So the other thing is, usually in every district we partner with, we increase participation. And that's through the quality of the food that we provide and the choices we provide. We provide full compliance with federal, state, and local regulations. We do all the menu development. Inventory control is huge. We assist with state audits. KSDE loves to audit an OPA school because everything's perfect. Production records, everything is to the T. We take care of all the staff training, and we're managing your program. Anything that you want to do in terms of other programs, say it's, well, summer meals, I know you guys already do that, but if you want to do breakfast in the classroom, you come up with another program of CACFP, maybe it's an after-school supper program. Anything you want to do, we are willing to do it. And I'll give you just a story of why that is important. So again, I was at Iola, right? We started doing a summer meal program that was, we didn't buy a bus, we took an old bus that we couldn't use anymore. We turned the seats around and made dinettes in it. And we painted it white, and we called it MAR, Meals and Reading Vehicle, and we put library books in there too. And we'd go around to all our low-income areas. We'd stop at anywhere we thought we could give away meals in the summer, and we did that all summer. If I would have went to my self-operating folks and said, guess what we're going to do? We're going to start feeding kids from end of school till the first week through August, and we're going to serve meals eaten at the county fair. They probably would not, I probably would have been hard and feathered or something. So we will, you want to do it, we're willing to partner and do it with you. So, but that's some of the benefits of what we bring to the table. So you've already met some of your support team, Byron, Regional Director, Neil's the Area Director, and I'm the Business Development Associate. The other thing that OPA does that none of our competitors do is they don't hire regular salesmen. They hire retired superintendents that have been in OPA schools. So I don't pretend to be a salesman. I'm just telling you what the experience that we had, and Greg was right next door to me at Iola, so we've known each other for quite a while. So he probably not going to admit that, but Kay, why don't you talk to us about menu? That way? Going that way? Forward?
Yes.
Okay.
These new fandangled things. I'll talk to you about the menus. These are some of the new signage that we have started this year. We piloted 9 schools last year. Our fresh markets is our main entrees. World Foods is our specialty bars. Open to Go are the ones that you saw up here in the containers. It's for the kids that are on the go. Maybe they've got a tutoring, or maybe they've got to do a club meeting or something during lunch, or somewhere they need to go. They can grab that fully reimbursable meal and cut to the front of the line and get out of there. Our mini mart is our a la carte. Fresh Picks is our fruit and vegetable bars. Our mixed greens are the salad bars. The gulp stations, we have drink stations set up with water, lemonade, high school, middle school, we can do tea at, so, and it's free to the kids. Our flavor station is our condiment bars that go with our main entrees, our World Foods, all the other things go with it. Breakfast foods, if we have a breakfast cart or a second chance breakfast, we use that sign within. And then a lot of our schools have a pizza bar every day. So each one of these has a tabletop sign or a flag sign that goes by each station. These are examples of our menus. You can see that the little bowl with the spoon in it is, it marks, and these are on the menu, marks the scratch cooking. The little smiley face is the student favorites. Fresh, prepared, and things that we serve daily. So, and these are some of the examples of what we have. And if you have any questions during this, please let me know. These are our breakfast choices. Unlike our lunch choices, we fit the lunch choices to fit your schools, the size of your school, how much room you've got to serve the lunch choices. It could be anywhere from 3 choices a day to the kids to up to 7 or 8. I know that a lot of our high schools we serve usually 5 to 7 different choices a day. But on breakfast we serve 4 choices every morning. There'll be 2 hot choices, and then there'll always be the oatmeal bar and the cereal every day for them to pick from. This is one of our second chance breakfast carts. We all know those high school kids like to slide in there at the last minute, and they've got a lot of socializing they need to do instead of coming down to the cafeteria to eat breakfast. So between first and second hour, we roll this cart out into where the main traffic way is, and everything on there is in a disposable package. They can eat it, have it eaten before they even get to their next class. This has been a really popular idea for the high schools. We also support the CACFP program, your after-school meals. We take it out to the fields to feed the kids. We offer the educational enrichment that goes with it. We do it district-wide, or we can do it by school. You need to be 50% or over on free and reduced in order to do this program. But we really have pushed this program hard this past year, and it has just blown up because you can if you have the educational piece and you've got football players getting on a bus to go to a school, they can take a full meal with them and eat it before they get there. Cheerleaders, band, whatever, clubs that you have, after school programs that you have, can all eat a supper for free. This is NutriSlice. This is the menu website that we use. Your menus can be available on any device. It can be on a computer. It can be on a tablet. It can be on your phone. It can be on the little Apple Watches and all that, so that everybody knows at a touch of their finger what's for lunch. I like this feature because if something doesn't come in on the truck and you've got to change the menu for the day, the director can change it right away. So the kids know ahead of time what's on the menu. The nurses love this NutriSlice because it has a filter on there that if you've got a peanut allergy kid, you can filter it, hit peanut allergy, and everything on the menu that's got peanuts in it will be crossed off. They can do their carb counts on it for their diabetic students. You can get it in Spanish, English, I think, isn't it Japanese or something too?
Any language
Yeah,
you like.
yeah,
32
all kinds of,
languages.
yeah. And you also can, if you bring it up on your computer or your iPad or whatever, you can print the menu right off of it too. It also has the feature where you can see here that when you hold your icon over the main entree or anything on the menu, it will bring up the nutritional analysis and show you a picture of that item. So say the Cubana sandwiches, if the kids didn't know what that was, hold your icon right over it, it will show you a picture of what it is and what's in it. These are 2 of our schools that we have the new signage in. You can see the Opalicious on the front of the counter there. That's something that new schools are able to get. The Fresh Market sign over the main entree line, the clings that go on the fronts of the sneeze guards or refrigerators or anything, milk cooler to decorate. The flags, you can get flags to set at each station. You can get tabletops, say you've got your main line here and you've got a la carte either down at the end of the line or clear in a different space. You can get a tabletop sign that sits there to tell the kids what that option is, so they can see it ahead of time. These are what our fresh fruit and vegetable bars before COVID that we offered. And these bars were set up at every school, and you get your main entree, and then the children get to go to this bar and pick whatever fruit and vegetables they want off of it. We don't limit them. All we do is ask them to eat what they take. Take what you want, but eat what you take. So it cuts down on a lot of waste because they have all these choices, and if they get to choose what fruit or vegetable they want, most generally they'll eat it. So whereas if you put it on their plate and they don't like peaches, they're going to go right in the trash. These are vendors that we partner with, so you can see that we've got some pretty well-known names up there. We don't do the great values of the world. We deal with Tyson, General Mills, Sunny Fresh for our eggs, JTM for spaghetti sauces, things like that. So we have a good brand of foods that we offer. Okay, farm to school is something that we're very interested in, working with the produce farmers, beef farmers. You'll notice Martin Brothers Rice on there. They're in the south corner of Missouri. We buy all of our rice from them, all the rice producers. We buy it through them. So in Lexington, Missouri, we have a Rasa apple orchard in the school district. So we buy for that area, any of our schools in that area, we buy all of our fruit and apples right from the farm. So anytime we can promote fresh from the farm, it not only is a better product because it hasn't traveled a long time on a truck, but it also is a good time to educate the students of where their food comes from. Because 9 times out of 10, you ask a child where their food came from, they're going to tell you the grocery store. So this gives us a chance to say, no, you know, this farmer out here, just outside of town, they raised what you're eating. So, and we take kids on field trips to these places too, so they can see firsthand. We also like to teach and involve FFA students with elementary students on growing their own food, whether it be a tower garden to grow lettuce in, or radishes, or anything like that, and then harvest it, and then it's featured on their fruit and vegetable bar. I had a school that they had grades 1 through 5, they built raised gardens out behind the school, and first grade had a garden, second grade had a garden. So every time, say first grade grew lettuce, they got to plant it, work the ground, weed it, and when they picked it and we served it on the fruit and vegetable bar, we got to put a sign up saying, the lettuce today was produced by your first graders. And it is a great program, great program.
Can't even get a kid to pick up his shoes.
We also work with schools partnering with your beef industry in your state, county. It's really taken hold in Missouri because the Missouri Beef Council has been very good with working with OPA and partnering with them, where we have farmers that donate a head of beef to the school, and so they're getting fresh beef right from the farm in their area. We'd love, like I say, to involve the FFA students in this. It's a good teaching and learning moment for all of them. Additional opportunities. We can, And we do our program, we partner with you and we tailor it to what your district wants. Now, all these things that we're offering, you guys get a say in, how many offerings do I want to offer? Or what are these extra things that we want to do in our school, are we able to do? So these are all things that we can offer, but we pick what works in your district. We can do breakfast in the classroom. We can do box lunches for field trips. We can do regular, if you're not 50% and over, we can do regular meals to go on the athletic buses and all that kind of stuff. If you have after-school snack program, we can do that. The supper program is the CACFP. Fruit and vegetable program is a government program that you apply for, and if you're high enough free and reduced, then they give you an extra allotment of money to buy fresh fruits and vegetables, and they're used in the classroom, taste testing and to teach kids in the classroom. I've been involved in this to where we bought beautiful plums, the black plums, and we took them to the classroom. The kids had no idea what they were, no idea. So it's another educational teaching moment to teach them about fruits and vegetables that they're not going to get bought probably in their everyday life at home. So we do health and wellness fairs. We work with the community, the nurses, the local doctors, the local dentists, the police department, the fire department, and help do health and wellness fairs and set up a community thing. We do them every year at Lexington, Missouri, and the local dentist will come and give out free toothbrushes and show kids how to brush their teeth the proper way. The nurses will work with the adults and teach them about blood pressures and how to eat right. We also have a registered dietitian, which she will go to a lot of these, and she will teach parents and hand out recipes of how to feed healthy on a budget. So this is some of the examples of what we did during the COVID. We partnered with each district. We have a safety, we call him Scott, the safety guy, that he worked with our company chef, and they made safety videos to show everybody an extra step to take to keep everything clean. We fed meals door to door. We had the buses drop off meals at bus stops, or even we had buses go to like parks or daycare centers or wherever kids would be to pick up meals. We did curbside service pickup, and like I say, we delivered the daycares. We also had each director and regional director work with their staff and their superintendent to have a backup staff. If you would have somebody in your first set of staff get sick, they would pull them all out, deep clean everything, and then they had a second staff ready to come in so that you wouldn't miss very many days feeding. We found out in a lot of districts, we fed a lot more kids than we normally did when they were in school. But we had all those little brothers and sisters that weren't in school. Some of those kids that had graduated but were still 18 and under were eating. So although it was a lot of work, and I have to commend our staff, we changed in a week's time. This came out after spring break. They had to make that change. A lot of them came in and worked on their spring break to make that change. So they started out from day one doing all these meals.
I hate to interrupt you, but our regular meeting starts at 7
Okay.
o'clock, and that's just a matter of a few seconds.
You gotta go like this.
You know, I don't want to go ahead and call their regular meeting to order at 7, I believe, finish doing what we're doing here in a few minutes.
I think I'm just about to eat.
You want to go ahead and call the regular meeting to order?
I can do that. We are going to call our regularly scheduled meeting to order. Do we need any continuation? do we do that?
You really needed to adjourn before you called another meeting to order.
Okay.
I move to adjourn the special meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn the special meeting. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay.
I move to approve the agenda of the normal meeting.
Do we want to alter the agenda slightly to give another 5 minutes perhaps? Is that enough?
Yeah, I think that's that.
Would that be
One or two more
a possibility?
So we've called a regularly scheduled meeting to order. Do we want to alter?
Let Opa, I mean, we let Opa finish their presentation before we start the agenda.
I think that's what we need.
Yeah, that'd
I
be great.
second that.
Been moved by Randy and seconded by Veronica to let OPA finish their presentation. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay.
Okay?
I think we're in compliance.
Okay,
Not at your fault.
okay. Catering, you name it, we like to cater it. Any of the things you see up there on the board, we cater. We do community events. We've done Rotary Club luncheons. We've done anything in the community that wants something catered, we're able to do it. And any of your staff meetings, your professional development days, if you want to feed breakfast or lunch, we'll cater in. So anything up there, your athletic banquets, your academic banquets, any of that, we are willing to cater. So that's our time that we get to show off and don't have to follow any guidelines. So we like doing that. Promotion, we work with the kids on the menus. You'll see developing student-friendly options. But down below, you'll see the Nutrition Advisory Council. That's a chance for the students to input what they like. We have the principals help us pull a group of kids together to tell us what they like, what they don't like on the menu, if there's something that's not on there that they want to see. We do sampling of new items to the students so that they'll know ahead of time when that comes on the menu what it is. So we like to involve the students. We like for them to have a say in what they're eating. Like I mentioned before, we do tailor the program to fit your district needs, work with your district staff to do that, and we want to meet all of the needs that the district has. Innovation is, this is a picture of Rick Turner. He's our corporate chef. He does a lot of training. He will come out to new schools, work with them on recipes. He makes training videos. Say if you're going to serve calzones that day, there's a training video on how to do it. So your cooks can look at that, see what the product looks like, and he'll walk you through the recipe. So he provides a lot of support to our new districts. And then if we have districts that have been with us for a while and they're struggling a little bit, he'll go in and help them freshen up their program and maybe serve some different things so their kids have some choices to look at some new items. And that's me. I'm done. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
This won't take very long. Your bid process, you're already going through it. We do a feasibility study, you're in the RFP, but the contract is a 5-year fixed pricing contract. You have to renew it annually every year. But you can get out of this contract, I mean, in the language, it's 90 days. So you're not stuck for 5 years if this isn't for you. So don't get scared in terms of a 5-year commitment. They do that because the RFP process is so laborious, you know. So they don't want to do that every year. So, but the board does renew annually. District sets your student meal prices. You maintain control of your revenue streams. You maintain control of your equipment, facilities. This isn't like going to a bus service where you sell all your buses and then if it doesn't work out, you got to buy buses back. So it becomes easy that way. District approves new hires, including director, so anybody we hire, we're running this by you. And you set your policies and procedures, we follow, and you use your current point of sale software. So that you retain all the control here. Real quick, we provide a tremendous amount of support. That is, our company is great at this. We will come in and train your people a couple weeks before school starts. We'll be here until everybody is comfortable, whether that's 2 weeks or 3 weeks after your first day of school. So, and a lot of the people that you saw earlier will probably be involved in some of that. So, we'll meet with cooks whenever you want in terms of putting them at ease, because this is a transition for them as well. So, and that's presentation. If there are any questions, we'd be happy to answer. So, how's the food?
The food was really good. So change is always hard.
Yep.
What do you typically see from current staff that is the biggest challenge during the transition, and what can we do to help soften that?
I think there's just anxiety of the fear of the unknown. In education, we ask teachers to change all the time, and they don't like it very much. So your cook staff, we haven't asked them to change in 20 years, 30, and so we meet with them as early as we can, just to put, it's the same stuff, really. We do some other things that make serving 5 choices a little easier, because they say, well, we don't, how are we going to serve 5? We can't have enough time to do 3 or whatever it is, and so but yes, change is hard. We try to coach them through it, and by the time you get to October, it's better. So. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Thank you again for.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate the opportunity.
You bet. You want that? Yeah, you can bring that.
Joanne, do I just go to 2.1 now?
Oh, thank you.
We're gonna actually take a big bite. Speak up, Joanne.
Zoom in, Mike, zoom in.
I got it. 2.1, approval of the consent agenda.
You guys can come in now if you want.
I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Been moved by Randy and seconded by Veronica to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor say aye. Aye. We're just, I'm sorry, Jennifer, I apologize. All right. 4.1.
All right, we have some special recognition things we'd like to do tonight. Hopefully, get this done. Where I'm going to start. Since we were not able to do our year-end banquet, where we quite often take a few minutes to recognize different people in the district, we wanted to take a few minutes to recognize a few of our people tonight. It's not quite the same as the banquet would have been, but we do want to take a moment and thank several of these people for their service for the school district. I'm going to start with Dave Canfield. Dave, if you want to come up. I asked Dave if he would give the opening address. Yeah, if those of you who know Dave know that he does not. Here, we're going to get a picture for the newspaper. Socially, 6 feet away. There we go.
Brian's an official. He doesn't know how far 6 feet away is.
That's right. I don't know. Dave's worked for us for 15 years, and we just.
Before you go on, I with the ag building, the football field, the yellow freight building. I mean, I really appreciate the time you put in and everything, because there's been a lot asked of you here lately, so thank you.
All right. Next up, Julie Turner. Julie's been an assistant custodian at Kennedy for 15 years, and she kind of does a little bit of everything. When we need something extra going on, Julie's the one to do it, and we want to recognize, I guess, for fist bump. That's what we do, and we'll get another picture there. All right. Alrighty. I'm going to go with Brian Roth next. Brian's our DCLE Virtual Program Director. He's been with the district for 25 years, so he's got a couple things to look at. Kansas University likes to recognize folks that have been teachers for 25 years, so we got a little plaque thing there for him, and then we have a special gift from the district as well. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate everything you do for us.
I'd like to
When I came to the district 25 years ago, I had no gray hair until him and Kim.
You never taught me, sir.
I had you other places.
But he tried. Tanya Sims. Okay. Tanya is retiring this year, and she has been with the district for a number of years, and we have a special gift for you in retirement. And we'll give you a little fist bump as well, and we'll get a picture for the newspaper. If nothing else, we can be off. I want to thank all of you for what you do for the school district. It's a special place, and a lot of it's because of the special people that you all are in your work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You can go now, Brian. Bye.
All right. 4.2, donation for summer science project, or program, excuse me.
We have Mr. Hank Royer here tonight. Hank, if you want to kind of come up to the middle of the horseshoe here, I'm going to have Chris receive the gift.
Well, I want to give you a little talk first.
Well, I figured you would. I was getting ready to let you say a few things.
As I look around here, there's probably maybe 5 of you in this room that even knew Bill Jeffcoat, and I don't know how well you knew him, but I want to tell you a little bit about him, because I've been going on 12 years doing this, and I'll probably be doing this another 12 years or so. But Bill was a hometown boy. His grandmother started a photography business here in town, developing film and photography back in the 1800s, actually. And it didn't make a lot of money, but they liked doing it. And then her son came along, and he did it. And Bill grew up here and learned the business, but he didn't really want to be a photographer and run a development shop over there. So he went off to college. He went to Antioch College. A lot of people don't know he got assigned a roommate there by the name of Rod Serling, who of the Twilight Zone, one that wrote all the Twilight Zone shows. And he and Rod lived there at the university and stayed lifelong friends. Most people didn't know that, but he had quite a dialogue with Rod Serling. He went out and visited in California and all that kind of stuff. But the economy wasn't real good, so Bill came back here and worked for his dad in a photography studio. When his dad decided to retire, he sold it to him. He didn't give it to him, he sold it to him. And Bill paid on that for 12 years to pay the $18,000 that he had to borrow from or had to finance it with his father to buy the studio. But he did it and stayed there his whole life running a photography studio. It's now the museum up the street here on Broadway. It's the same building, been there forever. Bill came from very humble beginnings and remained humble his whole life. He's probably the most frugal person in Abilene. Bill never spent a nickel unless he figured he was getting about a quarter's worth out of the deal, which was all right. And he did, though, develop a knack for investing. And with a local stockbroker here, I'll mention her name, Patty O'Malley, in later years, so she helped him make wise investments. And he grew a little bit of money One time when I was working with him on some business things, I mentioned estate planning to him. At the time, there was a horrendous federal estate tax. Randy can attest to this. But when I started practicing, if you had $60,000 when you died, you got to keep it all. If you had more than $60,000, you had to give at least 37 cents of every dollar above that to the federal government for a federal estate tax. And real rapidly, it went to 55 cents of every dollar you had above 60,000. You had to send into the government. So whatever you'd amassed during your life, you could lose over half of it to the government. And Bill and I talked about that, and Bill, being frugal like he is, said, is there some way I can get around that so I don't have to send any money to the government? So we set up a foundation long before he died. And with a foundation, you can make the gift. It was over $60,000 when he passed away. We could give more than that to his family. They raised it a little bit. But we put all of his estate after he gave what he wanted to give to his family into this foundation. So we didn't send a penny to Washington. We could have sent, at that point, millions of dollars to Washington. He would have left Abilene, never to come back, unless you believe in federal grants, which I've got some other things to sell you if you believe in those. But so we didn't send a penny in, and Bill didn't. Well, he actually called me up to the hospital the day before he died, and I was chatting with him up there, and he said, Hank, it breaks my heart. And I said, what breaks your heart, Bill? He says, you're going to have to give away all this money after I die, because I couldn't bring myself to give away anything while I was alive, except he was a mitten man at Christmas. He gave him money for the mittens for the kids. But he told me he wanted me to find things in Abilene that would level the playing field, especially for kids, which is really timely what's going on nationwide, disregarding the racial component. He wanted kids to be able to all participate in events, not just because their parents had an income at a certain level. And he also wanted me to help seniors and look where I could help them, some that didn't have so much, let them function like the other seniors did. So over the last 12 years, I haven't spent any of the money that he had left in his estate, just the income from it. But I've given away several $1 million here in Abilene, just for those projects. They go from cradle to grave. They go from prenatal programs up at the hospital to cemetery improvements. So literally from cradle to grave, we've given funds over the last 12 years. I was doing a quick workup before I came down here, and I've channeled well over $1 million of it to kids, and run about $500,000 through this school board. And what we try and do is find kids that are on free or reduced lunches and make them eligible to participate in things that they couldn't otherwise afford doing. I'll get to this one in a minute, but you know, one of them is like vision therapy. That was a relatively new thing. It's not eye glasses. That's the coordination. It's the coordination of the brain with other senses, so when you look at the board, the words aren't jumping around. My daughter went all the way through college having that. She couldn't read anything off a board. She couldn't read out of a book because the words jumped around and so forth. And the school district here didn't really recognize it. I'd come to them several times asking them to screen for that, and then we had a student, a member present, family go through it and realize it's a real deal. It can change a life. Kids can go from underperforming, unable to read, socially ostracized, to totally enculturated and ahead of their grade levels in a year or two. And it's a permanent change. So we've invested through you $160,000 in paying for those kids that couldn't afford to go over and have it done in Salina. We pay for the transportation, we pay for the doctors, we pay for everything for all those kids. We do the dual credit courses at the high school. Ben came here, I asked him to find some project. There are courses you can take in high school that are good for college and for high school, but they cost. And it's not inexpensive. Now, a lot of parents can afford that, but a lot of them couldn't. So we set up a program where through, we give it to one of your other organizations that does scholarships for the foundation you have, but those kids that are on free or reduced lunches that want to do that, we pay the first 80% of that cost for that class that they want to enroll. If they get a B, we give them the other 10%. If they get an A, we give them the other 20%, so it's completely free for the family. And you'd be amazed how many kids have gotten up to a year of college done before they left Abilene High School, and that was the impetus to go on to college. Ironically, just today, I got a thank you in this morning's mail. I'll just read you a sentence. It says, I'm one of the recipients of the Jeff Cook Memorial Dual Credit College Scholarship this past school year. I am writing to thank you because without the scholarship, I would not have been able to take these higher level classes because of the cost. I am planning on attending college after graduation in need of these classes. I get these every year, and a lot of these kids, it's the first one in their family to ever go to college. And the reason they went is because they had a semester or 2 semesters done before they left Abilene High School. And we funded that for the last few years and spent $105,000 on that. It's not the number, but it's important. Food for Kids, which comes through here, or through the school district, and meals goes home with kids. We really fund Dick Abilene. The funds they raise through the other sources fund the rest of the county. But spent $103,000 on that in the last 10 years. And a pledge to keep that up so all the kids that need those meals to go home with them get them. And then we funded, debate, we gave them $15,000 for computers and so forth, $25,000 for musical instruments at the high school. We fund the store programs at McKinley and I think Garfield or somebody else has it. And when you get that up and running, if it needs more money, let me know for that. And then this summer education program, this science program that Dan Brown started, it's a wonderful program. The parents rave about it, but there's supposed to be, as I understand it, tuition. And some kids can afford it and some can't. And so the money we give you, and the Community Foundation also does, is to provide funds to the school district to cover those kids that can't afford to pay for it. And that's what I'm here tonight about. We have, I need to keep track of how much we did there, but this is a $10,000 gift that I'd like to give to representatives of the organization who I think are here. You come on up. I'll shut up because they got other things to do tonight. But we've done this for 4 or 5 years, as long as you've had the program. Is it 4 years? Come on up, guys. She's going to take a picture. You got to get up here. You know. Here, somebody take the check. You guys get it. And I'll show my wife on social distancing. She's got some medical problems. But this is a wonderful program, and girls, young girls and guys are learning about science, and hopefully that will get more of them into this as the years go by. And I applaud you for letting this program happen. Now, I'm not too excited about the fact you may make it go virtual this year. I hope that you can
right now.
It's not planning?
We got a little information on that.
Okay, well, I'm hoping you can do it in the building, because I think the social experience is also an important component of it, besides what they learn at that age group. And so I hope you can do it.
Now, it's a plan.
That's the plan? Good, good. Well,
Thank you.
that's just an overview of Bill Jeffcoat, a little bit we're doing. And like I say, I haven't spent any of the money yet. I'm just using the interest. So we got lots of more things we can do for the next, as long as I'm here anyway. All righty? Thank you.
So, we do need a motion to accept the $10,000 gift. Is that correct, Joanne?
Yes, you do, because you won't, I gotta come here to give you money and you gotta approve it. I know how the drill works.
I move we accept the $10,000 from the Cook Foundation.
I second with a very big thank you.
So, motion to accept by Veronica, seconded by Chris, and we want to thank Hank and all he does for the Jeff Cook Foundation and all they do for our kids here in Abilene. So, thank you very much. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Smart guy.
If you'd like information on the topic and what the theme is this year, would you like to share a little bit?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Sure. Our topic this year is going to be habitats, biomes, and ecosystems. And we put together many STEM activities. We worked on planning together this year with STEM activities that involve that, from freshwater biome that we're going to be constructing with 2-liter bottles that have some plants and the water system, to nature walks, and even looking at the freshwater from Mud Creek, from not going to and from Smoky Hill River, bringing it and making some little magnifiers, designing those and be able to look at. And also with technology and engineering, if Mr. Summers would like to speak to that just a little bit.
I'm a tech guy, I guess. And I usually work with robots. We have robots that you can program using coding style. So you're entering commands, and then they, each command, they go through the list, and the robot does what you need. And we have that every year. Kids love it. So this year we're emphasizing the different habitats. And so I'll have the kids program their robot to go to each habitat and give like a tour. So the robots record what the kids are saying so that they can repeat what each habitat is about. And,
we have some games designed and dioramas that we want to have them exploring habitats. And we do incorporate English language arts with that, with some writing activities, and also we'll have some songs and things. And we go first grade clear through kids going into 6th grade. So the first graders won't be dissecting owl pellets. They'll be doing something that's more their grade level. So we looked at what would be appropriate for the grade levels as well. That's part of our planning. And we have looked at how to do some separating, distancing, and dividing kids up in groups of 5 to rotate. So we will be talking to the entities that already have kids coming into buildings, social workers and social skill groups. We will be visiting with them as we get closer. So we're really hoping for the hands-on.
One of the main thing that costs money for this is everybody gets a T-shirt, different theme every year, theme T-shirt that follows what our ideas are, our theme of the camp is. And there's also, we put together some bound books that each kid can take home. In addition to, they have a journal too that they will put an entry in every day of what they learned. And then they have pictures, so they have stuff to take home with them. So they can remember what they learned.
It's a great program. Every year I get kudos from the parents and the kids. I was sent down to the office saying, we're really glad that Abilene has this.
And they were asking on our Zoom meetings. I know my little 3rd graders were asking, we're doing science camp. We're at least going to have science camp. Please have science camp.
I wore my T-shirts to distribute the lunches, this summer. So, yeah, we're doing science camp. So, yeah, lots of kids are asking about it because they know I teach it.
How many students do we typically have enrolled each summer?
Well, we were told to plan for 100.
I checked yesterday and we had 100 signed up. There was like a couple duplicates, but pretty much right around there. So
I think our numbers are a little bit bigger at times.
Yeah, they fluctuate every year.
Yeah.
You'll take as many as will sign up?
Yes, yeah. And really, the asking of a tiny donation, it's to cover the cost of a T-shirt. It doesn't cover what we do with all the experiments. And I'm going to be doing something with adaptations and chameleons that change color, or what we need to purchase to help make this Play-Doh that will change color based on temperature. It's a little bit pricey, and that's what a lot of those types, that funding goes towards those experiments. And last year we were dissecting animal body parts. We were looking at, and that's where the funds came from, to be able to get those organs that were in formaldehyde to look at, because we're doing the human body. And it was gross, but it was fun. It was awesome. Do you all have any more questions?
That's great.
We can't thank the Jeff Cook Foundation enough. It's really fantastic.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
You had that mask when I put you in the lunch.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, teacher.
Okay, moving to 5.1, and President Becker has excused himself since we are going to be looking
I
at
second that
insurance. I would like to, but I don't want it permanent because I want him coming back and taking over again. Anyway, we have invited Doug Smart here from Smart Insurance to present the insurance premium renewal, and for that matter, to maintain independence, Cal has to step out.
Thank you all for letting me be here tonight. Number one, we want you to know how much we appreciate your business. We take a lot of pride in the fact that we're able to provide you with this product, and the fact that it is a quality product that it is. It's a great program that EMC has. There are not many products that are as complete as this one. Our goal always when we sell insurance is to sell you something that says whenever you call, we can say, yeah, that's going to be covered. This one pretty much does that without exception. There are a few things that are not covered, but it's a very, very comprehensive program. That being said, about 3 months ago, we got a call at the office from one of our partners of a group that we are partner agents with about 60 other agents, telling us that they were getting their renewals from EMC and they were 18 to 23% rate increases. And a little math, we figured that was about a $75,000 increase. And after Kyle and I picked ourselves up off the floor, we got busy. And he's going to hear, I didn't want him to have to hear this, but he did the work, I didn't. He got on the phone and started making some phone calls, basically making sure the insurance company knew that you guys had been very profitable and that you had not had claim problems. We made sure that we talked about the Safe School program that Mr. Cooper had in place and been working diligently the last several years to help keep claims down. So the front page, this is not very professional, and I apologize, I kind of threw it together in a hurry, is a copy of last year's premium, and I wrote in there 334, 334, 556. That was your year-end premium after the changes we made through the year. So the initial quote we got is on the next page was $370,000. So they took the increase from Kyle's work and cut it into about half of what we were expecting. Instead of getting 20%, we got 11%. That was not acceptable as far as we were concerned, so we started doing some more work. Making a long story short, we have a company called Accident Fund that is a monoline, meaning the only thing that they do is work comp. They're work comp experts. We made the decision along with Mr. Brown to take the work comp away from the EMC package and write it with Accident Fund. That saved you about $20,000 this year. The programs are identical as far as the coverages. Bottom line is Accident Fund does a better job at it than EMC does with work comp. That's the only thing they do, and they're very, very, very good at it. So that's the one change we made. The other issue we had, which had been quite scary to us in the past couple of years, we're just learning about it, to be honest with you, is cyber insurance. Cyber insurance is something that was unheard of about 10 years ago. It's gradually creeped into our world. We've had 2 personal cases. One where we had somebody get a copy of a check of ours, and one day Kyle got a phone call from a lady in Florida that had a $2,400 check from Smart Insurance. She wanted to know what it was for. Make a long story short, I think we ended up with 18 of those things scattered around the country. Ended up through a situation in Junction City, somebody got a copy of a check. The other one was just a few weeks ago. One of our employees in our Salina office gets to work, turns on his computer, and his mouse is moving on his screen. Somebody literally has control of his computer, and they're working on his PayPal and his bank account, trying to get money transferred. Fortunately, our IT guy happened to be close. He got there pretty quick, and we got it shut down before anything happened. But cyber has many, many faces. Cyber insurance covers crime, which means somebody gets in and transfers money. The biggest exposures I think you have in the cyber world are liability. We have a tremendous amount of data in the schools' computer systems of individuals' personal information, from employee social security numbers to kids' social security numbers to family information, yada, yada, yada. All that stuff can can be accessed if they know what they're doing and can result in claims back against you. The biggest claims that we've seen are ransomware claims where they just come in and they shut you down. I can't imagine what school would be like if they came in and shut down everybody's iPads, yada yada. That would be very, very difficult. So the program that EMC had was not inclusive enough to cover all the exposures you have. We have a company called Evolve, which is the premier cyber insurance company in the country right now. We happen to have a contract with them. So we deleted the cyber portion of your policy with EMC and we rewrote the cyber policy with Evolve. We met with Joanne and Mr. Brown and myself met with Mr. Leiby, and we determined that we probably ought to get the $3 million limit policy for the school. That's the level that we chose. So that's included. So bottom line is, after we made the changes, we ended up with a final premium, and this is educated guess, I'm going to do within 1,000 or two, but $358,000, which is a 7% increase. We normally expect a 5% increase. Cost of living, that's cost of building expense goes up. That's a normal increase that we expect on a commercial policy renewal is about 5%. I'm not happy with 7, but it's a lot better than 23. So we did what we had to do to get it down to what we thought was an acceptable level. I can go over a lot of coverages. I don't think you want to hear me yak about that. I'm going to be pretty brief. We've got about $80 million of coverage right now on your buildings. That is at replacement cost. Everything is on a replacement cost basis. The fact is, if a tornado came on a normal tornado pattern from southwest to northeast, it could get 4 of our schools really, really easy. So that is a legitimate possibility. They're lined up, unfortunately, pretty darn nice for a normal pattern that tornado takes. So if we ever had a Chapman, we are insured to the point that we're not concerned about the fact that we'll be able to rebuild all the buildings. Liability, the basic liability policy is $1 million liability policy. Crime, Mr. Brown and Joanne and Debbie all have $100,000 coverage by, I think, contract requires that, and then blanket $5,000 coverage on everybody else that touches money. 10,000 on specific ones that deal with school lunches and so forth, but all employees have a $5,000 limit. In the Marine, that coverage is $1.2 million worth of iPads, musical instruments, lawnmowers, tractors, that kind of stuff. Work comp is a $1 million limit policy. That's a decision the school made several years ago, you as a board made several years ago. The basic work comp policy covers $100,000. You guys took that to $1 million to take care of your employees, which was a very smart move. It's a very economical move that doesn't cost you even $1,000 a year to go to that higher limit. We have a $5 million umbrella, so any of the policies, whether it be auto, liability, work comp, whatever the number is on that policy, if it's $1 million, you now actually have $6 million in coverage with a $5 million umbrella. So that provides you very good coverage. The linebacker, that is your board of directors coverage, your wrongful hiring, wrongful firing, sexual harassment. We've had a few scares on the linebacker policy in the last 3 or 4 years. I don't think we've actually paid a claim, but we've had a few situations that could have gone that direction. That's a very, very comprehensive coverage that is probably the highlight of this whole thing. I enclosed a copy of the cyber quote for you to look at, and then last but not least, the last couple pages, you don't need to look at that really now. It just highlights some of the various things that this particular program does. Talks about the Attorney Direct program, the Safe Schools program I talked about that Mr. Cooper's done. We've got an on-call nurse claim service. They have a hazardous chemical management deal. If our chem department is older and we need to have somebody come in and clean out old chemicals, they've got experts to do that kind of thing. So, questions?
I want to thank you for the work you did, looking for ways to keep it from growing any higher than it did. It made sense.
you have any thoughts on the new policy? I guess you were involved in that, right?
Yes. I think with the way things are evolving as a mastermind, the criminals out there, it's becoming very, very sophisticated and going very, very fast. And it probably pays to have some insurance.
As you indicated, we've got a lot of different areas of exposure too. I mean, every parent that's paying their lunch fund, or, I mean, there's just all kinds of things out there.
Well, one teacher opens up the wrong email. It happens to be on the school computer. They're in, I mean, not picking on teachers, I'm just saying one person for it can happen.
With our capital projects that are going on, will that affect our policy very much next year? What?
The Boag building project should not. You automatically, this is a very, as I said, comprehensive policy included in it. You automatically have all the builder's risk coverage for everything with that project built into it. So all the stuff that's laying out there that's going to be put into the building, if there's $30,000 worth of lumber that gets stolen or destroyed, that's automatically covered. I think we discussed the limit that we have for replacement on the building really isn't going to change much. It's still the basic same square footage type building, so we'll address that again and make sure once the project's done, make sure we're on the right page there. Will you insure the track? That's a question that we'll discuss between now and then. Will we insure the field? That's another question which we'll discuss before that time's up. We haven't done that in the past. We're making a sizable investment. We'll do some research at our end and determine what coverages there are and what coverages there are not. I know vandalism is one of the bigger ones we're worried about with something like that. So I don't really have an answer for you. It'll have an impact, obviously, with the bigger stadium and so forth and so on. Yeah, it'll have an impact, but not dramatic. So.
Any other questions?
That was a pretty good size chunk of money for the cyber insurance, but I guess we're getting a lot of coverage there. I'm assuming.
You've got the most that we can get, and it's a very scary area for us. I mean, it really is, because we just, it's so new, and we, it makes me so mad because those people are so smart. They go out and do a real job with the brains they obviously have. They can make a lot of money, but they're smarter than we are because they can do the things they can do on a criminal basis. And Kyle has a client, I should say. We have a client in Salina that has a business that has 10 locations. He got hammered for $160,000. Somebody opened up an email, they shut him down, he was done.
Our business also got impacted with the same fraudulent checks that yours did, and it was a nightmare. It was.
The nice thing about with the Evolve is that they come in, once you have an occurrence, they basically come in and take over. They'll take care of the problem, they'll deal with the criminals, they'll deal with the whole thing. And obviously, they would work very closely with Mike, depending on what area it was in, what particular type of coverage.
I make the motion to accept.
Second.
Okay, got a motion by Chris to accept the smart insurance bid proposal, and second by Jeff. I don't think Jeff was on there yet, so. Any more discussion? Everybody in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, thank you very much, Doug, and thanks for your work and.
Thank you much, we appreciate it. Have a nice evening.
Doug, don't forget your stuff.
It's your job to take care of it, thank you. You did a good job.
Thanks for calling and checking me. Yeah, I don't want to have to do this very long, so.
Oh, let's.
We'll go back with you.
deep in projects, now, especially with the vocational ed building. It's been kind of a interesting transformation already. The first couple weeks, they had about a third of the demolition done. We walked through it again Tuesday, 2 weeks later, and I believe almost all of the demolition is done. And so they're using some of the walls that were already there and they had holes in them, and they're patching the holes, and it's amazing what some of those masonry guys can do. I drove by this morning, and they're putting windows in the front. They're part of that project. It's really pretty cool. They had floor broken out, getting ready to put some plumbing in for that little kitchen area that's going to go in, and they've discovered some concerns with the city's side of the sewer line, and so we're visiting with Lon a little bit about how to rectify that currently. Haven't had a huge number of surprises. There was a little bit of an asbestos surprise, but I think it cost like $1,600 to address. That's hardly a surprise at all, so that was kind of a nice thing. I did visit with the main worker there this morning, just kind of bumped into him, and we had talked a little bit about water drainage and around the outside of that building, and they're bringing some dirt out, but they're digging from the inside of the building. It seems like it's decent enough dirt, and putting it out to the outside, and we anticipate raising the sidewalk that runs to the south out of that main hallway in the Voc-Ed building. If you look at it, that sidewalk slopes back toward the building, and that's just over years of water wearing it out. We're going to build that up a little bit, probably do some sidewalk work before it's all said and done on that. The stadium project, we're at a little bit of a pause right now, completing some permit work. You saw that the stadium, the bleachers are significantly different now as they're gone, and I thought that was kind of amazing to see how quickly they could get that concrete fixture out of there. We have sold the erector set piece, is what we'll call it. It's probably one of the newer pieces that's there. It was right to the south of the concrete bleachers. We have sold those. Mammoth Construction found somebody that was looking for one for $15,000. So that's really exciting. The city didn't feel like they could use it, so that's all good. I did have a gentleman call me that was interested in the wooden bleachers, and I put him in touch with the superintendent of that project, and I believe that he's going to do us a favor, because we were looking at demoing those anyway. And I think he's got family in Chapman. He knew the project was going on, so hopefully he'll bring his trailer in and haul those away and save some effort there as well. We do have a reimbursement resolution that needs to get signed yet tonight. What would you like to add to?
When we started out with the stadium project, they did say that it would take, roughly 30 days to get really rolling on the project. Still seems like that's kind of the timeline that they'll be on. They have an engineers meeting with the city on the 15th, so coming up soon, because obviously we know that Abilene has got some water drainage issues, and we want to make sure that we're doing our part with that as well. With Mammoth has got lots of experience working with Olson and Associates, so hoping that's a quick and smooth process. Don't foresee it not being. But other than that, that's really, we've had some discussions about kind of site work and track and things like that. No decisions have been made on any of that. The engineers are still working through lots of different scenarios, so more information to come.
I need to ask this, but refresh my memory. What's the visitor side seating look like?
So the current bleachers that are on the visitor side will stay. They'll get moved, but the north side of the old Cowboy Stadium has a matching set of bleachers that our band is typically in. They're going to move both of those together and make it one large visitor section.
The same is what I've been saying to people, and I thought maybe I ought to find that for sure before I
poster. We've got some initial renderings and some things on. I know we keep saying it on the fundraising piece of it, but we're going to have a lot more of that really soon, so we can run that out. So do we need approval on the resolution?
We do need a motion and approval on the resolution.
I move to approve the resolution 05/20/2020.
Second.
Been moved by Jeff, seconded by Veronica to approve the reimbursement resolution. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. 7.1.
Alrighty, we have some handbook addendums, so to speak. As we've been wrapping up some things at the high school, there were some editorial kinds of things really in nature to fit what we do in the area of science and the technology. And you've got a little summary of those. And again, they're as much editorial as anything else in the high school handbook. And then the pre-K handbook was something that was still in the making when we put the K1 handbook in front of me. So this is a piece that is specific to our 4-year-old preschool program that is starting up this fall. Any questions on either one of those?
For a motion to approve the handbook addendums?
I move to approve the handbook addendum as presented.
Second.
Moved by Veronica, seconded by Jennifer to approve the handbook addendums as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
7.2 calendar.
Okay, we've got some editorial kinds of things with the calendar. The drafts that you had received previously had dates and things off to the side that match each month. As I visited with the administrative team, it's been their practice in the past, once the basic calendar structure is approved by the board, then they fill in some of those editorial things. And one place that was moved a little bit was the graduation date and last day for the seniors, with a couple extra days of schools off previously to that in order to maintain essentially the same number of hours of instruction for our seniors. We are moving graduation and their last day. Another thing that is a primary reason for bringing this to you as well is the visible learning, or the learning by design project that we're going to be involved in the next 3 years is going to be postponed because of COVID-19 for a year. And really that doesn't hurt our feelings in some ways when it comes to the calendar, because September 22nd is a really sketchy day to mess around with not being in school, because of its being right next to the official count day of September 21. And so we're moving that professional learning day to the following Monday on the 28th. I had done some visiting with the leadership that is bringing this program to Kansas and for us to participate in, and I asked them, if you're going to reschedule, can you get clear away from that September 2020 date? And so they are doing that. We'll start the Learning by Design project on Columbus Day, which we had put in as a professional learning day in the second calendar that was approved. But it's a discussion kind of thing. Just wanted to let you be aware of what we're doing there. Any questions? Okie dokie.
7.3 strategic plan.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get it started a little bit. Jeff, you had mentioned a little bit about some time with the board on the strategic plan, and what we thought we would do to meet perhaps some of the things that you were considering. In August, we'd like to have kind of a work session with the administrative team and the board, kind of look at the details that go with our strategic plan. Our community has given us some kind of wide open things that are in that strategic plan, and we can drill down a little bit and talk about what the next school year can look like from the perspective of leadership in this room as we address those topics in the strategic plan. And then I thought I would turn most of this over to Chris and let him kind of explain a little bit further where we're at with strategic plan, and this would be the second read, and then also how it dovetails with our accreditation.
So many of you are familiar with the process we went through for the strategic plan for Kansas Educational Systems Accreditation, our accountability piece with the state. We also go through rubrics in the area of relevance, rigor, responsive culture, and relationships. And the staff has done that, some site councils went through those things. So we took, as an administrative team, we took all that information along with all the information we had from the strategic planning process, the raw data. We have to select 2 goal areas, and the things that really rose to the top, it wasn't difficult to decide because on both the strategic planning process and the KISA rubrics, relationships, particularly with families and community, that connection rose to the top. So that's a goal area that we selected to work on. We have a lot of data that has linked us in that direction. And then the other area is rigor, particularly in the area of career and technical education and those secondary partnerships and reaching out with business connections in the community. So really, these 2 things need to dovetail together. The strategic plan and KISA have to work together. They can't be 2 separate things. And it was nice when we went through those rubrics that the state requires that they really align well with what the community group had said, and they fit really well within our strategic plan. So moving forward the next 5 years, well, 4 years now, we'll be collecting data on those 2 goal areas as we work through the strategic plan. And I think it'll work well. I don't know if you and Jenna's here as well. She's a part of all that. But that's the KISA update. Because of COVID, we would have had an outside team come in this spring. We have not had that. We're able to go through the end of October, I believe, next year because a lot of people weren't able to have those meetings. So we'll probably get to miss that one.
We can bring you up if you're bored.
Yeah.
Might be.
But if you're here, it's harder to use your name in vain.
Questions about that process? So there's a team of teachers and administrators that will meet with an outside team that comes in every year, and they'll look at our plan and the data that we're collecting and just ask us questions, and then they write a report along with our team that goes up to the state. That's the accountability piece that used to be QPA, Quality Performance Accreditation, that was based on just the state assessment, remember those days, and now it's changed to this bigger piece. But it does give us more flexibility, and they're really broad goal areas. So we've already narrowed it down. We just had to select the area of relationships and rigor for our 2 goal areas. But because of the strategic planning process, we've already narrowed that down.
Any other questions?
Where's been the timing tonight?
It's that last meeting, part of it too.
I was getting confident.
All right, so do we need to,
A motion to approve the strategic plan?
I move to approve the 5-year district strategic plan as presented.
and moved by Veronica, seconded by Rob to approve the 2020 5-year strategic plan? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. 7.4, building trades house.
All right, the building trades house completion has been a little bit of a chase for us again with the COVID-19. Jeff Austin has done a nice job of getting into that structure and continuing to work on that. And I walked through it today with a potential buyer, and it's very nearly done, should be done probably within the next couple weeks. What I'd like to do is visit with you as a board and see if you're okay with this idea, as opposed to going into just a typical auction. We do have 3 potential buyers already lined up, and that's without really doing any kind of advertising per se. It's just a word of mouth that over the years people know that it's around. We have a gentleman from Beloit, a gentleman from, or a family from Tampa, and then a local family as well that's very interested in this house. What I would like to do is establish a reserve and a minimum bid, and then essentially let people bring their best and final offer to the district office, and we sell the thing. After tonight's meeting, if you approve of this approach, I did meet with all of our, we invited our local real estate agents, and I think we had 4 or 5 of the specific companies come to a meeting around the table here last week, and just talked out loud. What's the best way to get this house in some good hands, and do so in a respectful way with regard to spending tax dollars. There's some details of the house that I've put there. I'm not going to read all of that, but I was looking at the possibility, and this is the input I need to get from you. If a $69,000 reserve would be acceptable to you, that would be losing a little bit of money with regard to the material that's in it. We let people know, we've got approximately $73,000 in material in that. The buyer has to pay for the sales tax of that material. Because school systems are tax exempt, we don't pay for that, so if I say $69,000, it's plus then the sales tax on the house. So I don't think that's an unreasonable purchase for a patron to buy that house. I think that's a fairly good deal if they were to get it at that low price. And then they're responsible, obviously, for moving it. Flooring gets finished on to their liking, and HVAC. Those things that are dependent upon whether or not the thing is on a basement are left undone and up to the buyer. We kind of walked through that with the real estate agents last week, and we believe that somebody could purchase that house in this ballpark of that $69,000 reserve, obviously, or a little better, and do all the things that need to be done with the basement, getting it moved. They could be in that home probably for $150,000 or less. And it's a 3-bedroom house. It's a decent size. It's not tiny. It's not huge, but it's not tiny. And it would be like I told the family that I met with today, had that been at this stage of finish last spring when I was looking for a home, it would have been a serious contender for Denise and I to look into. So
what's the plan? Obviously, from the last year, 2 years ago, we lost our tail on it. And what's our plan for this house if nobody meets that?
We'll cross that bridge when the time comes. We may end up having more of an auction. There would still be a reserve there.
Or is there something? I know we talked about using it for something in the school district at one time. That lasted 2 years ago. If we find something to do with it.
It would be a unique use because it's truly a 3-bedroom home, the master suite, the whole 9 yards. It's kind of an interesting look.
We've talked about everything from, just sitting around with Craig and Chris. From if it doesn't bring that, then you go put it on a lot and do a 2-car attached garage and then try to sell it. There's options, but I do think with the current, I think Veronica can speak to this as anything. We do have a housing shortage in our area of quality housing at a reasonable price. I think that it's an option, and I think it's one we ought to try. And if we've got a couple people who are at least interested, it might be an idea to have them come with a bid and see where we land.
2 years ago was the worst we fared on the auction.
About $8 grand.
Yeah. I forget, Joanne probably knows how short we were on material, but I would also say it's probably the finish was the poorest. I don't know if it was rushed. I know it was rushed, but when you walked in, it was a good house, but it didn't look like a good
pretty well done.
Well, I think, just even in our surrounding communities where there isn't a large amount of employment, like in Harrington, there's a dozen houses that sold last month. So, and for Harrington, that's very good. That would be good for our community too. I mean, that's a good solid number. So that shows us that in the entire county, housing is shorted. And I think if you've got a couple of buyers, I think it won't be hard to find a couple more if you just let people know what you're doing. What I would suggest, and maybe just for everybody to think about in the future, is there are cities that the city tears down an old home and they give that lot to the building trades program, and then they are able to put the house on a lot and improves the neighborhood, and then they're getting a house at a fair and reasonable price for the neighborhood. And once one neighbor has a nice new home or fixes up their house, no matter what neighborhood you're in, it encourages that next door neighbor or the one down the street to improve their neighborhood. It would be good for the whole city.
And the one thing that I think has concerned me is that we try and do this in a year's time with, you know, a limited crew, and, you know, at one point I think before Mr. Brown got here, we talked about making this a 2-year program. I think we need to, this is year 2 of this one. I think we need to have some maybe more defined thoughts behind how we're going to proceed with next year's house before we start with it on the same foundation that we've got now.
I think longevity in the teacher, somebody that stays will help with that as well.
I agree.
And I do have my eye on a couple lots with the city I need to visit with a little bit to see if they're available. It would be a good fit for the kind of work that you're talking about, Ron.
Okay, use Mr. Lively's pen.
I didn't get that motion edited correctly, did I? If you're all right with moving forward, you receive a motion to try to sell that house at the earliest possible time, and meeting that $69,000 reserve. Is that acceptable to you as a board? Plus the sales tax and all the things that go with it.
I'll make that motion to move forward.
Moved by Randy and seconded by Jeff to move forward with the opportunity to sell that at a $69,000 reserve plus the sales tax that the buyer would be paying. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. 8.1 site council minutes.
We have some site council minutes from McKinley. Pretty straightforward. Any questions on that?
Need a motion to approve?
I move we approve the site council minutes.
Second.
Moved by Jeff, seconded by Rob to approve the site council minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
9.1.
All right, 9.1, Joanne and I have been visiting quite a little bit already about what this process would look like, but we are reaching that time where we need to close the books on the 2019-2020 fiscal year. When we get down to the final days of the fiscal year at the end of June, there will be transfers that need to be made, and we need to have the authority to do that from you as the board. If you would prefer not to give us that authority to do that on our own, we can have a special board meeting right at the end of June and do so. And some school boards choose to do that. That's your prerogative.
Let's just drag it out.
Just drag it out.
In the past, that's what we've done. We've given them the authority to make the balance transfers, but like you said, up to us. We want to have another meeting.
I'd like to give you the authority to do so. I'd just like a memo or whatever of what those transfers are, so we know what those expected balances will be like in contingency and so forth.
Yeah, it certainly wouldn't be done without your updating. We would provide that to you.
I would make that motion to allow you, given the board clerk, to make those appropriate transfers at your end.
Second. Moved by Randy and seconded by Chris to give Mr. Brown and Joanne the authority to close out 2019-20 and make the necessary balance transfers. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. 9.2 other.
All right, well, tonight is the last board meeting for Mr. Cooper to hang out with us.
I got 3 weeks to go special.
Unless we find a reason to have a special little bit. There you go. But,
None of us show up.
we have planned a reception here in the district office on Thursday, June 18th from 2 to 4. Visit with Kyle a little bit earlier today, and we had visited some last week as well. We would like to entertain the motion to have a special board meeting on the Wednesday night before this Thursday, so it'd be Wednesday night, June 17th, where we could take Mr. Cooper and his wife Vicky out for a nice supper at Mr. K's and make fun of him one more time before he gets out of town.
Nobody else wants to go?
I'm gone that Wednesday night,
I can make it.
I could do Thursday too. It's not a big deal.
What's that?
What time do you say time?
I'm thinking 6:30, good supper time. Want to do Wednesday or Thursday?
I
either
can
one.
do that. Thursday's fine with me.
I'm out Thursday, but.
You're out Thursday.
Go for Wednesday.
You want to do Wednesday?
Whatever works best for you and your wife, what do you say?
Doesn't matter.
Anybody else, everybody else not available at that time?
Wednesday would be better for me.
Chris gets up really early. We could have a nice breakfast at 5:30.
Set it at 5 o'clock this morning,
Yeah.
get here.
Should we have Opa cater something?
Well, then let's set it for Wednesday, if that's okay with Jennifer.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is that a motion?
Cake will be.
I move we set a special meeting for 6:30 Wednesday night at the farmhouse.
Second.
I thought you said Mr. K. Or, okay,
Mr. K,
sorry. Sorry about that.
Mr. Page Express.
Motion for a special meeting on Wednesday, June 17th,
Drive in.
at Mr. K's farmhouse at 6:30. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Appreciate it. Is anybody in the room to go to board meetings where the old support service building is now? Am I the only one? Kathy, you've been there, Mike? That's where we started.
I think we're there for baseball.
Had to come in.
Yeah,
I would
going
probably
there
have
with-
that meeting.
When we would have been 6th grade, 7th
I
grade.
don't know when.
No, that was before, that was after that. We were, they got it the year after I left.
I think we piled in there.
In high school, like that.
All right, well, we're at 10.1, which is adjournment.
Move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. And
Aye.
Thank you, guys.